In this video, we'll be going over the Firebowl and planter basics. In this segment, we'll be going over mold breakout and color prep. Okay, I'm removing the quick goal Velcro right now and removing the plastic. I just let these cure up overnight. They appear to be really dry, but the top portion of that plastic actually had moisture on the inside, so it really helped by putting the plastic on and helping them cure out slowly. Yeah, I've used this Velcro, the same strap right here, for several years, so check that stuff out. I think it'll be real easy on the different shapes and size molds that you have. Just put it away and it's ready for next time. When you're flipping over the molds, just be careful when you slide them across the table that you don't chip any edges or anything like that, because in most cases it's going to be green. Right now I'm just tapping the blowhole in the bottom of the mold, just getting a little bit of the excess concrete off. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the air compressor, about 60 pounds of air, and just blow it. Pops right off. Just a standard air hose, blow nozzle. And you can use this method, with big molds. And what you'll find is once that air gets shot around the actual concrete surface, it just releases it, makes it really effortless. And it also comes with good prep on your molds. I could have broke out the molds probably 3 hours after the mix that we mixed up for this, but I just chose to let it cure out overnight. What I'm doing now is I'm just tapping the edge of the mold. This is just another method of getting it out if you don't want to use an air compressor. What you're doing is you're just breaking the surface, the bond that it has to the surface of the concrete. Once you flip it over, it'll pretty much pop right out. Just a weight and lifting up on the edges. And as you can see, I'm just being really careful with the edge. You'll see how sharp the edges are on the concrete. You just want those to stay that way and not to chip off. As you can see, you just get a little bit of residue that sticks to the mold. I'll just take a Scotch-Brite pad and lightly go over that and just hit it again with mold release. And I usually do that probably 3 or 4 times, and then I'll just prep the molds like you saw in the series. So this is actually going to be a Firebowl right here. So you'll see the different thickness in the top rims. And here's your texture. I mean, it's just a great texture. This is actually before coloration, so you could seal these and be done with them. The fast set concrete gives you more of a tan or a beige color than the actual concrete of being just pure gray. You want that porosity in those voids. You could come back right now if you wanted to and make a slurry and fill those in with a different color concrete. That gives it a nice look as well. But with these stained up, you're going to have so much depth, and it just looks really nice. Yeah, so texturing on this, see, when we actually prep them, you can, if you were to do the slurry method, what you would do is you could just come back with a light sandpaper and sand it back off and then seal it, and all of those holes would just have different color concrete in them, but they would be, a smooth, solid surface. Hey guys, it's Jody with that'showdiy.com. What I'm going to do here, our Firebowls are broke out now, so I'm actually going to go back. They look a little rough when we pressed them in. You don't really have to worry about it while you're doing the pressing, because what we're going to do now is just use a masonry grinding wheel and we're going to hit all the tops. It's fairly quick, and it just gives it a better look. It also exposes some of the aggregate and gives it a nice look once it's colored and stained in. You can see how easy this is, and you don't have to fight it when you're actually trying to press the bowls in. I highly recommend wearing respirators during this. I even use better respirators at times. This is outside, getting away from me pretty quickly, but if you were indoors, make sure you use a respirator. And what you're trying to do is you're just trying to actually level it up. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you just don't want any super high spots unless that's a look you're going for. Now, I've actually used these before where I've pressed them all the way up to the top and made it look extremely rough as if it was fractured. It's pretty much endless. It just depends on what type of edge that you want. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm actually just turning the grinder up on a 45 and just running around the edge. That's just going to knock the sharp edge off of the piece, and then if somebody moves this around a bunch, if that real sharp edge is there, it's eventually going to flake or chip off. This just helps it from doing that. And it's real easy. It's just a fast motion all the way around. As you can see here, you can see some of the aggregate that was inside of the concrete mix. That's going to be exposed, and then when you stain and seal this, that's going to be different colors, so it looks really cool by doing that. In doing this, I highly recommend that you use a respirator, glasses, definitely safety glasses, and even gloves. I don't have any on, but I would recommend it. I have had these grinding wheels overheat and explode, and the pieces just go everywhere. So just be careful in using it. What you see right now is that's actually a 7-inch masonry wheel on here, but it's just been worn down, which this is the size I prefer anyway. As you can see, I'm just running around the top rim, just hitting a 45 all the way around it. It's really a quick pass. It's not something you have to sit there and look at and try to perfect. The more you try to perfect it anyway, the harder you just make it for yourself. Okay, what we're going to do now is just rough up the exterior of it with 180 grit sandpaper. Okay guys, I want you to watch as I move this. Look at the arrow. Watch what happens to the edge. See how the edge just flaked off right there? That's what I'm talking about. So you have to be careful now. I'm going to be able to take the grinder and just lightly touch this up and then sand that area. It's not going to look bad, but it just keeps it. Sometimes you can do it and it just really makes it just sticks out like a sore thumb. So just watch and be cautious of that. I just wanted you to see what could actually happen. This too is a pretty fast motion. What you're doing now is you're just knocking off any loose concrete. It really smooths it out, gives it a nice finish. This helps with adhesion of the stains so that you're not putting stains over top of loose material and then it flakes off or it causes a sealer to fail later on. So what you do is you're just creating a solid surface, you're going to stain against it, and then you're going to seal it, and then everything is just all encapsulated and caught up as far as color and sealer.
After you run over the surface with your 180 grit sandpaper, you would think that the concrete would actually wear it out, but it doesn't, because the only thing you're doing is you're just taking away what would be the cream of the concrete. So what we're doing now with the 180 is we're actually taking off that layer, and you're going to see different pits that have popped through. Now when you stain this, you're going to get a lot of depth. And it also keeps everything just feeling really smooth, so whenever you seal it as well, it's just going to feel smooth. Pretty quick, just run over it. See if you feel any rust spots. And this feels great here, so we're done with this one. So we'll knock this one out over here, and then we're done. We're ready for staining.
After you get done doing your sanding, go ahead and just spray down the bowls. This is going to help out with curing as well. You want to make sure also when you're spraying out all of the texturized areas, make sure you get all that clean and free of dust, because what will happen is if you put color on it and then you seal it, it'll create a blister in the sealer if there's any dust there, and then it'll start to flake off later on and start to fail and gives you some discoloration. But some great looking textures. I'm really happy with these, and I'm really looking forward to moving on to the coloration and sealing.